man. Let's go get what we want. Hey, it's about that time.
We know what we want to do. It's another opportunity for us to get better.
Alabama has won the match.
How you compete. That means how hard you play, how tough you play, how you can sustain in tough circumstances.
Welcome to TideTV This Week, brought to you by Renaissance Bank. I'm Christopher England alongside Maggie Hetzel.
Another record-setting day for the Tide, not only on the field, but it was over 100 degrees,
Yes.
so he was a little bit warm, but a great day for them.
It was a little warm, over 100 degrees heat index on the field, and it was a record-setting day for the Crimson Tide against the Ole Miss Rebels, and it all started on the Tide's opening drive of the game.
Just over a minute into the first quarter, Tua Tagovailoa connected with Devontae Smith on a slant route, and Smith, he did the rest, 74 yards to the end zone. Just the fourth play of the game. Crimson Tide was up 7-0. They're used to that. After a turnover on special teams, the Rebels capitalized as J.R. Plumlee punched in from the 1 yard out to even the score at 7-all. The Rebels actually took the 10-7 lead before the first quarter was over on this 33-yard field goal, but as you would expect at the Crimson Tide, they responded.
Alabama scored 31 unanswered points, starting with a 5-yard touchdown run from Tua to give the Crimson Tide the lead back at 14-10. Joseph Bulovas nailed a 36-yard field goal to put Bama up 7, and then from there it was the Tua and Devontae show. Tua connected with Devontae for 4 consecutive touchdowns. The first one went from 25 yards out to give the Crimson Tide a 14-point lead at 24-10. Still in the second quarter, Tua connects with Devontae again. This 23-yard reception put the Tide up 31-10, and with 1:23 to go before the half, the duo struck again. This 33-yard completion gave the Crimson Tide a 38-10 lead at the half.
The Tua Devontae show, it continued in the second half. On the Tide's first possession of the third quarter, the duo connected for the record 5th time in the game, 27 yards, and the route was on. Crimson Tide, they went up 45-10, and then with the score of 45-17, the Tide, they made a big play on special teams. Ale Cahoe blocked the Ole Miss punt, and guess who recovers it in the end zone? Yes, it is Cahoe for the score.
Tua and the Tide added one more on the scoreboard after this punt block from Cahoe. Tua connected with tight end Noah Forstall over the middle for the touchdown. That put Alabama up 59-24. The Rebels added another score with 5 seconds left, but it wouldn't matter as the Tide rolled big in their SEC home opener, 59-31 over Ole Miss.
We did some very good things out there today, but we also didn't play some things very well, and I think it's pretty obvious that we left some money on the table on offense. We had some plays that we could have made that we didn't make. We made a lot of plays. Smitty obviously had a great day. Tua was good today. We ran the ball fairly effectively. We didn't probably keep the ball as much as we need to, and we didn't get off the field on defense when we had opportunities, and that allowed them to extend drives and keep the ball. And we didn't stop the run very well on defense. We gave up a couple explosive plays at the end of the game, which we're really giving other people an opportunity to play, but those people need to play, and we probably ought to protect them a little bit in those situations as well.
Alabama finished with 573 yards of total offense. That gives the Crimson Tide over 500 yards of total offense in every game this season. Tua finished with 418 passing yards with a school record 6 passing touchdowns and another rushing touchdown. His 7 total touchdowns were also a school record. Also setting school records was wideout Devontae Smith with 11 receptions against the Rebels. Smith became Alabama's all-time receiving touchdowns leader in a game with 5, shattering the previous mark of 3. Smith also passed Amari Cooper for most receiving yards in a game with 274.
And it's tough to follow that one up, but we'll try. But defensive back Xavier McKinney led the Tide with a career-best 13 tackles, with a quarterback hurry by linebacker Anthony Jennings was second on the team with 9 tackles, including 1 tackle for loss. Jared Maiden added his first career interception on special teams, and then Ale Cahoe blocked and recovered that punt we watched. It was pretty impressive.
It was very impressive. And Maggie, as you might expect, some awards were handed out to the Crimson Tide for their record-setting performances. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa was named the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback of the Week.
And Devontae Smith, talk about him again, earned a couple of awards himself. Smith was selected as the Southeastern Conference Offensive Player of the Week, as well as the Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week and the Maxwell Award Player of the Week. Smith had a career-high 11 receptions as he set Alabama's single-game receiving records with 274 yards and 5 touchdowns. His 5 touchdowns also tied the SEC single-game record, while his 274 yards ranked 6th in SEC history.
What a day for Devontae. You know, Maggie, that has to be scary for opposing defenses. You can't focus on just stopping one receiver. You have to worry about Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. But wait, then there's some running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield, Najee Harris, and several tight ends as well.
That's why they're known as one of the best classes in the nation. That has to be a nightmare for defenses. The Crimson Tide have the top 2 leaders in receiving touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy is second with 6. And yes, that 5 touchdown performance on Saturday. Devontae Smith leads the SEC with 8 touchdown receptions on the year.
Let's take an all-access look back at Devontae's record-setting day.
You know that man's smiling. You know what he's smiling for.
And to the races goes Devontae Smith.
What?
Devontae Smith. How did he stay in bounds that long? He's already got a career day, and he's got another Alabama touchdown.
Throws long, end zone, Devontae, touchdown, Alabama.
Yeah, boy.
Smith got it. Touchdown. My goodness. Number 5. And a new single-game yardage record. A 28-yard score.
He got 200 yards. I think this is the first 200 yards. He liked that.
Tide TV this week is brought to you by ATI. Built by Bama. Rebuilt by ATI Physical Therapy. Ford and the F-150. Tough runs in our family. See your local Ford dealer today. AFS, a Bayless company. Your foundation and waterproofing specialists. Serving you since 2000.
Welcome back. What a weekend it was for college football. You got to be a fan of this weekend. There were a lot of record-setting performances, some blowouts, but there were also some huge upsets.
Number 1, Clemson needed a stop on a 2-point conversion to survive against North Carolina in Chapel Hill. That opened the door for a new number 1 this week. And the voters decided that the Crimson Tide were worthy of that spot. Alabama's the new number 1 this week. The Crimson Tide received 29 first-place votes to just 18 for Clemson. Georgia is 3rd, with Ohio State moving up to 4, and LSU drops 1 spot to number 5. Auburn stays at 7, while Florida drops 1 spot to 10. That still gives the SEC 5 of the top 10 teams in the country. Despite their close call to Arkansas, Texas A&M is still in the top 25, but just barely. The Aggies dropped 2 spots to number 25 this week.
And over in the coaches poll, Clemson received 1 more first-place vote than Alabama, but the Tide is still number 1. Georgia is 3rd, but the coaches have Oklahoma at 4, the Buckeyes at 5th, and then the next 3 are all from the SEC. LSU is 6th, Auburn is 7th, and Florida is 8th. That's 5 of the top 8 for the SEC in the coaches poll, coaches rankings, and the Aggies fared a little bit better in the top 25. A&M is at 21 for the coaches again this week.
And there is no kickoff time for this week. Coach Saban and the Tide have a much-deserved off weekend, but they're not going to take the week off.
I think you can look at the bye week, a couple different ways and say it's a week off, or you can look at a bye week and say, there's a lot of things we need to improve on, and that's certainly the approach that we want to take with our team. And, I always say that if you win and don't play well, that's not really a good thing. That's something our team needs to understand and our team needs to know so that, we can improve. I think, that people have to have, the disposition that they want to go out and try to improve this week. And we didn't obviously play a complete game. We got exposed in some areas where we didn't play very well. And, we got to get those things fixed and we got to play better. The players we have are the players that we have. They're all capable of playing better, so we want to work with them, and we're excited to work with them so we can get better. So we're looking forward to, what we need to do to try to improve as a team.
You heard improve there multiple times.
Yes.
You know what they're looking forward to this week. The number 1 ranked Crimson Tide will square off against Texas A&M in College Station next Saturday. The Tide and the Aggies will kick off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on CBS.
It'll be the 12th meeting between Alabama and Texas A&M. The Tide leads the all-time series 9 games to 2. Alabama won the last meeting in Bryant-Denny Stadium last season, 45-23.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up next, we'll take you inside the Crimson Tide's record-setting win over the Ole Miss Rebels.
Tide TV This Week is brought to you by ATI. Built by Bama. Rebuilt by ATI Physical Therapy. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Here's a quick snapshot of Saturday. We talked about it a little bit, but Devontae Smith broke almost every receiving record possible. Bama jumps Clemson to #1 in both the AP and coaches polls, and in the process, they win their SEC home opener against Ole Miss. Could you ask for a better Saturday heading into bye week? I don't think so. Let's head back into Bryant-Denny Stadium for an all-access look at Alabama's win over Ole Miss. It's brought to you by ATI.
2nd down and 10. Football at the 26-yard line. Wide outs to the left side. Play action fake again across the middle.
And to the races goes Devontae Smith. He will cruise to the end zone. 74 yards, touchdown Alabama. So it only took 70 seconds for Alabama to go 90 yards in 4 plays. So surprise, surprise, unranked Ole Miss. First time Alabama's trailed all year. They're down 3. Bootleg. Tagovailoa pumps once. He's going to run it himself and he'll score. Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown Alabama.
And the good guys are now on top.
So if we get off the blood fast like you did, okay, we'll make plays. Flat roll and get off.
Four-man rush, Tagovailoa on a crossing route to Smith. He's got more. Devontae Smith. Wow.
Touchdown, Alabama.
Devontae Smith, who's already got a career day, and he's got another Alabama touchdown. Jalen Waddle, midfield.
Touchdown, Alabama.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, boom.
What a day he is having.
I don't know, sometimes it's just fun to watch, Gary, you know?
Yes.
What a day for number 6.
Here comes the first sack of the ball game. Terrell Lewis comes in.
Tagovailoa. Smith got it. Touchdown.
My goodness.
Number 5. And a new single game yardage record. A 28-yard score. Matt Brown has it blocked. In the air. On the ground. Touchdown, Alabama.
Ali Cajo blocks the punt and then covers it in the end zone for a touchdown. Throws, finds Forrestal. Wide open, he runs over 3 men. Touchdown, Alabama.
Most touchdown passes in school history. Tua has just tied A.J. McCarron.
4th down and 6 for Ole Miss.
Toss down the middle is intercepted. Jared Maiden.
He'll bring it back to the right side, 40. Up the right sideline, 50, and run out of bounds at the 49-yard line.
And Alabama, Nick Saban's team goes to 5-0.
Welcome back. The Alabama volleyball team was at home in Foster Auditorium this past Sunday as the Tide hosted the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Trailing 2-1, the Crimson Tide battled back, winning the 4th set by 3 frames, 25-22, to force a deciding 5th set. After 2 tie scores early on at 4-all and 5-all, the Crimson Tide pulled away, outscoring the Razorbacks 10-4 down the stretch, completing the comeback with the 15-9 win. It was also the first SEC victory for new head coach Lindsey Devine.
On Wednesday night, Alabama traveled south to take on the in-state rival Auburn Tigers. The Crimson Tide won the opening set over the Tigers 25-23. Alabama used a 12-3 run in the second set to take a 17-6 lead, and with 6 straight points to close out the set, Alabama got the 25-23 win to take a 2-0 match lead. The Tigers avoided the sweep with a 25-18 win in the third, but the Tide slammed the door shut on the Tigers in the fourth, winning 25-20 to complete the 4-set win.
We'll swap over to soccer. Last Sunday in Knoxville, the Alabama soccer team took on the Tennessee Volunteers. It was a scoreless first half between the two squads, but the Tide struck first in the second. In the 70th minute, Serena Pham scored to give Alabama the 1-0 lead. The Volunteers countered. 3 minutes later, Alicia Donnelly found the back of the net to tie things up at 1 apiece. And after a scoreless first overtime period, the Tide scored in the second OT. In the 104th minute, Neely Martin earned the game winner with a header inside the box for the win. Freshman Carly Giamona earned the assist with a header across the box to Martin.
The 2-1 victory was the Tide's first SEC win of the season. The win improves the Tide's record to 6-4 overall and 2-1 in the SEC.
The Alabama women's golf team was in action this past week at the Schooner Fall Classic in Norman, Oklahoma. Alabama finished second, 9 strokes behind second-ranked Texas. The Tide shot a collective 7 over par 847 in the 3-round tournament. Juniors Polly Mack and Angelica Moresco led the Tide as they both finished tied for 16th with a 1 over par 3-round score of 211. Freshman Caroline Curtis tied for 23rd with a 3 over par 213, marking her first collegiate top 25 finish.
The second place finish was Alabama's best finish as a team since last year's appearance at the Schooner Fall Classic, where the Tide turned in a NCAA record-setting performance of 45 under par to take home the team title.
Stay with us. We'll have more Tide TV this week coming up next.
Just like that. And off to the races goes Devontae Smith. 74 yards. Touchdown, Alabama. Way to him and now goes down the middle for the home run. Devontae Smith.
And a block. The punt is blocked. They took too much time. Ali Cajo will cover it in the end zone. Touchdown.
Carter.
That was some phenomenal volleyball. The whole gym just erupted.
Those are our BBVA top plays of the week. Now let's take a look at our players of the week, brought to you by Payless Drugs. Devontae Smith had a record-setting day as he posted a career-high 11 receptions as he set Alabama's single-game receiving records for receiving yards with 274 and receiving touchdowns with 5. Smith was also selected the Southeastern Conference Offensive Player of the Week, as well as the Walter Kemp National Offensive Player of the Week, and he was also selected the Maxwell Award National Player of the Week.
And once again, we go with Tua Tagovailoa. Tua finished with 418 passing yards with a school record 6 passing touchdowns. Tua added another touchdown on the ground. His 7 total touchdowns were also a school record. His 7 touchdowns moved him into first place on the Alabama all-time touchdown responsibility list with 86 career scores. Tua was named the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback of the Week.
Now let's take a look at next week's schedule for the Crimson Tide. What's next is brought to you by Renaissance Bank.
The Alabama men's and women's tennis teams will be competing at the ITA All-America Championships all week in Tulsa, Oklahoma, while men's golf will be just up the road in Birmingham as they host the Jerry Pate National Intercollegiate beginning on Monday.
On Wednesday, volleyball hosts Mississippi State at 6. That will be carried live on ESPNU, and soccer takes to the road to Texas. Alabama will take on Texas A&M in College Station on Thursday at 6:30.
Women's golf will be in Chapel Hill for the Ruth's Chris Tar Heel Invitational beginning on Friday.
Football returns to action on Saturday as the Tide travels to College Station to take on the Aggies, and soccer rounds out the weekend at home. The Tide host LSU at 1 on Sunday. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Tide TV This Week.
Have a great week, everybody. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
This has been a presentation of Learfield IMG College.